We're going live now.
Yes, sir. Pretty hyped because this is going to be my first live. I'm actually going to join. Ever since you started talking about Brazilian depository receipts, this is my first live.
Oh,
So
brother, you've been with us since we were talking about BDRs. That was, I think, shit, 2 years ago now almost. I've been doing YouTube
yeah, I remember
right
being in
around
that
2 years
chat
at this point.
and asking you a question I probably shouldn't have asked. I was like, "Hey, so what do you think we should do when when it blows up? And what do you think I should do? Should I get multiple bank accounts and this and that?" And then you were like, "I can't say that." And I'm like, "Heard."
I can't give you financial advice, but like we've said
That was great.
before, I left my ISDA banks. ISDA banks are not looking good. That's for sure. A lot of people think that J.P. Morgan and Bank of America and everything are too big to fail, and they're kind of right in a way, but that doesn't mean that there can't be serious issues before the government bails them out. And if the FDIC has to step in, I don't know if you guys have seen, but the FDIC doesn't have anywhere near enough to cover even a fraction of the bank's holdings of FDIC insured depositors money. So, and you could also have to wait up to 2 years. So if you got money in J.P. Morgan, for example, theoretically speaking, and something happens, and it might be a year or 2 years before you get that money. And how many people can afford to not have any of their money in their bank account for 2 fucking years, even a year or six months? You have to live off your paycheck for the next 6 months. How the fuck are a lot of people going to do that? I don't think many can. That's why we like to push the idea of having precious metals and actual cash and tangible assets, food, tradable goods, and things like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, what's up, Mud and Snow, Black Widow? Yeah, we're live. We're just having a hangout here, talking about AMC, the Federal Reserve. Some people are tripping about Antara Capital, and I'm over here like, what are you tripping about? It's a hedge fund. Hedge is gonna hedge, man. Antara Capital had like 275 million shares or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. Not that many. They had like 225 million shares, and they sold a few million shares or several million shares over the last 6 months, or better yet, I should say over the last 3 months. But that's what hedge funds do, man. They bought at 66 cents. So for them to sell some shares at $1.65 and $1.60, they're making 300% profits, and they still hold 128 million shares of AMC and call contracts. So who the fuck cares? Like, they've got a hedge. They're not going to just YOLO all their hedge fund money and then say, I hope we mow ass. I hope the judge, approves this conversion, which in my opinion, I think he will. But that's not what hedge funds do. They're using other people's money. So if they can rake in, 300% profit margins, that's huge. That's huge. Good returns for a hedge fund is like 20%. That'd be considered really good returns. So 300%, that's fucking killer, and they're still holding 128 million shares of APE. I may have misspoke there a minute ago. I may have said AMC, but they're holding 128 million shares of APE, AMC preferred equity units. And then they've also got a few million shares of AMC, and they've got thousands of call contracts too. And the fact that they're buying puts is just hedging against the price going down. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, no worries, man. You can ask whatever you want. I was just talking right now to with Arthur here, and he's telling me he's got like 16 of the tins, right, brother? You got about 16 of those AMC tins for the popcorn. Did you put that picture in Ape Chat? I'd really like to see that. I'm gonna scroll up and see if I can
Yeah.
find it.
Sorry about that, boss. I was at work, so I had to mute it.
Oh no, do your thing,
Yeah,
man.
I try to go every week and pick up whatever popcorn tins are on sale, man. Got a nice little collection going on. I'll throw a picture of it up in the
I got it. I
Ape
just
chat for
I
you.
just pulled up. This is gorgeous, dude. You got the Spider-Mans, the Little Mermaids, the Black Adam one. Is that the one you were telling me about? That thing is sick. You got the Top Gun Maverick one, Mjolnir. That's fantastic. Oh, and
Yeah.
what's the raccoon's name? Rocket from Guardians of the
Yep.
Galaxy. That is dope, man. You got Dom's Charger, cool, and a Transformer tin. That is really nice. Yeah, you were saying elemental, is it right? They're gonna have the
My,
cups at AMC
I've
theaters.
seen cups. I've seen cups for them that were going to be available at AMC theaters, and I was
All
asking.
right, that's cool.
It opens this, and so this weekend should be. Um, the Flash has a popcorn tin, lights up like Black Adam, and it should be cups for Elemental. I'll pick them up
Nice.
Friday.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, thanks for supporting our investment, brother. That is pretty fucking cool of you. Like
Doing
what?
what I can.
Would you say they could short the stock, but they can't short the earnings, right?
Yep, they can manipulate the price of the share. They can't manipulate earnings. And didn't he just
Damn
post
right.
that May was the best month ever for price per patron?
As a matter of
Or,
fact,
or
he did. Adam Aaron shared with
they,
us that they're reaching new levels of spending per patron on food and drink, right?
yes, sir.
That's amazing.
Um, boss.
What's up, brother?
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you for making me a smarter person for listening to your live streams.
Wow, dude. Well, I'm glad you got some value out of it, my friend. The whole point of it is for education. So if you learned something, thank you for taking the time to listen and look into it yourself and do your own due diligence. You know what I mean, man? Like, I can point you in the right direction, but it's up to you to figure it out for yourself, man. I'll smoke to that, brother. Let's spark up a cigar.
Yeah, it's just most people don't have the time to look up all this stuff because they're working to live paycheck to paycheck. But thank you for giving me something to listen to on my drive home and teaching me things along the way.
My man, cheers to you. Thank you. Thank you as well. I'm glad. The whole point of me doing these videos and spending all these hours on researching this shit is one, because I have a fuck ton of money invested in these meme stocks and precious metals and so on. And two, because a lot of people are getting fucked by shorts, naked shorts, Wall Street, and even our own very own government. And even those that are not in our government, like the Federal Reserve, you know what I mean? So people really need to learn about this kind of stuff because they always fucking lie to us. The Fed, the Treasury, Wall Street, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Congressional Budget Office, they're always fucking lying to the American people, and I am damn tired of it. Yeah, Charles, let's spark up a cigar tonight. It's chill mode right now. Crackhead Rabbit says you can lead an ape to the crayon. Hey, Jay Yates said, thanks, boss. I'm from Ontario, Canada, and appreciate the honesty and forthright information. We deserve better than what the government is doing. Cheers to you, my friend. We absolutely do. You know, the 99% are always the ones to get shafted during times of economic collapse, during times of stock market crashes. And that needs to change. You know, a lot of people seem to forget. A lot of people don't even remember what happened in 2008. But I remember clearly. I remember clearly the people living out of their cars because they lost their homes. People that weren't able to retire and died working a job that they fucking hated because they had no 401k or pension left after the fact. And we're seeing a lot of similarities now between 2008 and 2000 and even the 1930s stock market crash. But as, you know, mainstream media is always trying to convince us that it's different this time. And who was I hearing? I think it was the Maverick of Wall Street. I kind of like him. The Maverick of Wall Street sometimes makes some good points, but also he's very uneducated in meme stocks. You know, he doesn't understand what's going on in the naked short world and everything that's happening with the shorts marked as long, the rehypothecations, the married and divorced puts, and the tokenized securities. You know, the guy just understands market mechanics, and I'll give him that. But he kept he did a video a few days ago, and it was very well put. And he showed all these charts, the same charts that you've been seeing on this channel. And I'll pull some of them up right now because he did a really good job. And he goes, well, look at the inverted yield curve. Look at what happened in 2008 and 2000 and et cetera. And we always had a market crash afterwards. But like the Fed said and the mainstream media said, it's different this time. And look at what's happening with job losses and wage growth being stagnant. But it's different this time. And look at what's happening with the bank failures and in 2008 and so on. But it's different this time. Why is it different? It's not. They just want you to believe that it is so that you keep your pension and your 401k invested. My Vajos, thank you, my friend. You don't got to super chat me, but it is appreciated. Always appreciated. Paul Engelbrecht brings up a great point. He says, this ducking inflation is taking all my dry powder. You know what, man? You're not the only one. He also, you know, like you've seen on this channel, personal savings rate is falling and falling and falling because people are spending a lot of money on goods and services, not because they want to, but because they have to, because the cost of everything has gone up so exorbitantly. I mean, take a look at this. Okay, again, you've also heard this on this channel. I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but the Bureau of Labor Statistics changed the way they calculate inflation since the 1980s. It is not 6%. They changed it in the 80s multiple times, in the 90s, in the 2000s, the 2001s. They even changed it in January of 2022. And before that, they changed it in January of 2021. They changed the weighting of the items inside the CPI. That's why we call it CPI. Because if you use the same CPI structure, the same calculation that they used in the 1980s, in 1980 we were at 14.2% in February, and then in March, when the Fed funds cut the Fed funds rate by 5%, Bureau of Labor Statistics inflation rate jumped back up to 12.9. Saw a minor pullback to 12.6. The Fed funds rate had to be increased up to 18%. And then we still saw inflation go even higher to 13.3%. And then the Fed funds rate had to be increased all the way to 20%. We're talking Paul Volcker shit over here. And what is happening right now? The Fed funds rate right now, they say it's around 5%. But if you use the same calculation that we used in 1980, it is really around 13 to 14%. But it's different this time. Why? It's not fucking different. There's not going to be a fucking soft landing. It's an impossibility at this point. Impossible. Ron Johnson. I remember working 6 weeks one year because housing was done. My friend, I think a lot of that's rough. You know, I remember as a real estate agent after the 2008 market collapse, it was really fucking hard to sell a house, but it was really easy to rent apartments to people because nobody was buying. The prices kept collapsing. The people that could buy were not buying. And I think that year I rented about 54 apartments and I sold one house. Home Daily said, I got my postcard a couple days ago. What to do with it? I don't know. Frame it, my friend. Paul Gaines asks, do we squeeze on the first? I hope so. And that's what he said. I quote, I'll tell you this, my friend. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. However, I find it highly doubtful because, you see, there's a settlement date for Antara, and the court case is scheduled for June 29th and June 30th. And that being the case, that's a Thursday and a Friday. So the first and second would be a Saturday and a Sunday. If the settlement is approved on the 30th, theoretically speaking, the earliest that AMC could possibly do the conversion or reverse split would probably be June 3rd or 4th, but the 4th is the 4th of July. So that's not going to happen either. So even if the judge approves it on the 30th, if AMC has to file paperwork with the Securities Exchange Commission, that would be done on Monday the 3rd, most likely. The 4th, the market would be closed. And that is if they don't have a 4-day weekend. And then the 5th would be the earliest possibility, in my guesstimate, for a conversion or reverse split. But again, keep in mind, that doesn't mean that the price is going to squeeze all of a sudden. What happens during a 1 to 10 conversion, I'm sorry, 1 to 10 reverse split, is that the shares are consolidated by 10, and then the price increases 10 times as well. And I was just working on this for one of my exams that's allowing me to take the financial advisor exams. And that's called the Securities Industry Essentials, SIE. And I should probably just scroll back. I'm just going to scroll down some here to get down to it. Oh, we'll talk about Al from Boston too. That was funny shit. So, what the fuck just happened? Sorry, I must have misclicked here because I went way off base. Here it is. Come on, computer, work with me. So the APE to AMC conversion and reverse split do not reduce the total value of an investor's holdings. Some people are uneducated in the matter, and others have been led astray by other people that are uneducated in the matter or just straight up shills. As you can see here, question 43 on this practice test, out of the many, many practice tests that I've been taking, says, a company reverse splits its stock on a 1 for 10 basis. If an investor holds 800 shares before the event, what will be the impact of the split, if any, on the total value of the investor's shares? And there's four possible questions you could answers for the question. Is A, the total value will decline by 10%. B, the total value will decline by 90%. C, total value will increase by 10 times. And D, total value will not change. Well, the answer here from the answer key, because of course it's a practice test, is D. Stock splits and reverse splits do not change the total value of investors' holdings. For example, if the investor owned 800 shares at $1 per share before the 1 for 10 reverse split, he or she will own 80 shares at about $10 per share after the event. So again, the number of shares is reduced by 10, and the value of each share is increased 10 times. It's like having 10 singles or a single $10 bill. You still have $10. And a lot of people are crying about the, so what I'm looking for, your dollar cost average. So my dollar cost average, say if I spent $100 on a stock to buy it, is $100. If there's a 1 for 10 reverse split and my dollar cost average appears to be $1,000 on paper, I still only spent $100 on those shares. So some uneducated people and some shills are trying to convince you that, well, now now AMC has to go to, 10,000 a share for me to make X amount of dollars, and I would have made that money at $1,000 a share. Yeah, maybe. But what's the guarantee that with a 1.5 billion share float, when you combine AMC and APE, that we would have gotten to $1,000 a share anyway? There's no guarantee, right? We're using this is a mental exercise, right? This is an exercise that's meant to evoke the thought processes here. Let's say, for example, you expected AMC to go to $1,000 a share, and it only went to $500 a share. Well, it never reached your target, so you wouldn't have made what you wanted to anyway, right? So if you are so convicted that AMC would go to $1,000 a share with 1.5 billion shares available, when you reduce that number of shares by 10 times to only 150 million, why wouldn't your conviction also state that AMC could now go to $10,000 a share if there's only 150 million shares, which is 10 times fewer share locates and shares available, and 10 times less supply with the same demand that currently exists? What do you guys think in the chat? You guys feel free to jump in and let me know what your thoughts are. Arthur, Citadel. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you want to jump in, you can jump in. You see, yeah, Grandpa Barney, great point, my friend. He says lower float, more volatility. Absolutely right. If there are 10 times fewer actual shares available, that means the cost to borrow will go astronomically higher than it currently is. If the cost to borrow for shorts is usually ranging in the 10, 20, 50% range, and is currently at 300%, it is currently, by the way, I'm telling you a fact, it's around 280% average cost to borrow on Ortex for AMC. If that all of a sudden there are 10 times fewer shares and that becomes 3,000%, how do you think that's going to work out? Think about it like this. You got a mortgage, right? Theoretically, what are you spending right now? Say $2,000 on your mortgage. I know a lot of you are spending less, a lot of you are spending more. Just throwing out a number. And your mortgage is locked in at 3% or 5% interest. What happens if your mortgage rate all of a sudden went to 300%? How much is your $2,000 a month mortgage going to be if you went from 3% APR to 300% APR? Or even worse, 1,000% APR? What are you going to pay every month for that mortgage? Your house isn't going to increase in value. Neither is their short position. So there's a lot going on, a lot to unpack here. So again, as I said, this picture is from a financial advisor's practice test for the Securities Industry Exchange test, Securities Industry Essentials test that I'm taking for FINRA here. And I've also got to take the Series 7, Series 63, and Series 24. No problem. But I'm going to make sure I'm prepared before I go into them and take as many of these practice tests as I want. So when I saw this, and you know what, I think even Tony DeNaro may have posted something similar when he was also doing his SIE, which I thought was really cool. But when I saw this, I was like, wait a minute, you know what, let me just tweet this out real quick so people can see this. So that's why I voted yes, and I look forward to AMC moving forward with their reverse split, their conversion, and issuance of new shares, which, as you may or may not remember, in the past, in 2021, 2 different occasions in January and May, we saw massive jumps in AMC stock. In January, it went up, 2,000 percentage points? And in June, it went all the way up to $77 a share. The next time after that AMC issued shares in May. And the price didn't start going down until AMC stopped issuing new shares. June 2nd or 3rd of 2021 was the peak of around $78, $79 a share in intraday trading for AMC stock. And that was the day when AMC completed their share issuance. So upon completion of their share issuance, when they were no longer selling shares on the open market, the price started to come down. And it started to get shorted heavily. But OBV, which is on balance volume, didn't really decrease. If you look at it on a long time frame, it's still nearly as high as it was then. That means that retail, the majority of retail investors haven't sold. And that's been proven to us by this court case. It really backfired on the shorts to issue this court case, with the exception of they got their delay on APE, but they also proved to us that there are still 3.8 million American retail investors that hold shares of AMC stock. That does not include people in Europe, South America, Asia, etc., Central America, Canada, North America. It only includes the United States of America. So in the U.S. alone, there's 3.8 million retail investors. Now add in the rest of the world. Come on. On balance volume doesn't lie. It remains elevated because we're not fucking selling this thing. I'm not fucking selling this thing. You're free to do whatever you want. Again, this is not financial advice, and this is not a solicitation to buy, hold, or sell anything. This is just my due diligence, and the fact is, my due diligence on this stock, AMC, proved to me through this court case that these dumbass shills and hedge fucks decided to file against AMC in order to delay the conversion reverse split because they are scared shitless of it. Proved to me that there's still 3.8 million retail investors in the United States alone. Checkmate. It's only a matter of time. See, and remember, past history is not indicative of future performance. But history doesn't repeat. It often rhymes. Period. Enough said. Okay, I've been wanting to pull this up for a while now. You guys are in for a treat. Check this out. Now, let's take a look at a fake statement. A fake statement from a fake ape and a real statement from a real ape. So this is what a real statement from Interactive Brokers looks like. Let me open this in a new tab so that I can zoom in more. Let's just take a look at that right there. Account information, look at the little arrow here. Look at the information, it's very detailed, nice and crisp. I can zoom in very, very deeply. I'm 300% zoomed in and you can read it perfectly. It gives you your net asset value, cash, stock, options, accruals, and dividend accruals and interest. And then your changes in NAV. Let me just move this over a little bit so you can get a better screen since I'm cutting it off. Oh, that's my beautiful baby in the background there, my daughter. It gives you the starting value, your mark to market, deposit and withdrawals, dividends, change in dividend accruals, interest accruals, and commissions. But as we've learned in the court case, Al from Boston doesn't hold any shares of AMC. However, he likes to pretend that he does. We've seen it proven in court by the chancellor and the judge that Al from Boston has not submitted his proof of AMC ownership. Now take a look at this here. He's trying to say, I am the largest shareholder in the proceedings. I am the largest shareholder in the proceedings. Don't believe everything you read on Twitter. This is his screenshot. As you can see, it's blurry as hell. And it's missing the arrows. Where are the arrows from the real one? Here's the real one. Pull that up on my screen here. See this? This is a real statement. This is what it looks like. It's got this graphic here. And this is Al from Boston's supposed, which is nothing but more than an Excel spreadsheet here. It's totally missing it. It's actually butted right up. The letters are butted right up against the beginning of the spreadsheet cell of the column. Whereas over here, there's an arrow and it's spread off to the side. In addition, look at the changes in NAV. He's not smart enough to calculate the changes in NAV, so he has starting value, mark to market, and ending value. But he neglected to include the deposits and withdrawals, the dividends, the change in dividend accruals, the change in interest accruals, the commissions. Fake, Al from Boston, Excel spreadsheet. Real example directly from IBKR's website of a statement. This, as you can see, it says John Doe with an account number, right? And look at the mark-to-market summary, June 1st through June 30th. Whereas he just put June 6th because he's too fucking stupid to even make an Excel spreadsheet that looks like the real thing. Real thing, Al from Boston's fake. Again, the change in NAV is missing all these details and deposits and withdrawals, dividends, accruals, etc. Not to mention all the other details here on cash, stock, options. All his has is cash and stock. He's missing options, interest accruals, and dividends. And you can see here from interest accruals, if it was 0, it would still be there and say 0, 0. Alice from Boston is also missing that. Ladies and gentlemen, I've told you this 1,000 times. Al from Boston is not holding, at least not with disclosing his shares of AMC or APE to the courts, probably because he doesn't fucking own any. And he's not disclosing them on Twitter or YouTube because he's making this fake ass shit trying to convince people that it's real. And again, scroll down, you can see here, you see the little drop down menus here. And over here it says buy, sell with a breakdown. This just says AMC, APE, Cora, Mullen with a bunch of shitty prices. And his prior price was $463, current $464 for AMC. APE was $156 and current price shows $157. His position, it shows that he's lost $109.57, which is absolute nonsense. These are all fake numbers. All fake numbers. Because it's nothing like the real thing. He's missing the actual details. He's missing the breakdown, the times for the buys and sells. And even if there was no buys and sells, you can see he's still missing a bunch of details here. So we've not shown 1, 2, or 3, but there are like 8 or 9 huge discrepancies here that prove that this is just an Excel spreadsheet. You just don't even have to go to the whole thing. Literally look at the top right corner. His MTM summary with bold letters. This says June 6th. Is nothing like the one from IBKR that says MTM summary with a spread of dates, and it's got a real question. The question mark is here and here, not up here in the top right corner. Like he couldn't even put him in the right fucking place. This guy's a fucking tool bag. I wouldn't be surprised if he's working for the Shills. Remember, this guy interviewed Doug Sifu. Doug Sifu is the CEO of Virtue Financial. Virtue Financial has a massive short position against AMC and has probably issued billions and billions of synthetic shares at this point. Now, I think I've made my point. Al from Boston is a fucking liar. You guys have heard. And then you've also got like Frankie Muhammad and that douchebag, the fake Marine, Mike, whatever the fuck his name is. Also going to bat trying to say that he's proven that he's got AMC shares on Twitter, but no, he hasn't. They're totally fucking different. The statements look nothing alike. Nothing alike. Real fake. I mean, it could not be more fucking clear. So that being said, I got a real kick out of this when I saw that people were posting this. So this clown is making AMC fake statements to submit to Twitter, but of course he didn't submit the fake statements to the courts, because if he had, he would go to jail, probably for being in contempt of court or for issuing false documents to the court. Dade Murphy at Naked Jockman made a great point. If Al from Boston is the largest sitting shareholder in the proceedings objecting to the settlement, he and his crew filing motions to the court certainly do not speak for me and the others. Supporters collectively hold many shares, and they do. But again, like I said, I just proved to you without a shadow of a doubt, this is a real statement. Al from Boston's looks nothing like this, and it is missing a shitload of information. Period. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still watching Al from Boston, or if you're still listening to what these shills are saying, the Marine, Frankie Muhammad, Al from Boston, all these other assholes, please do me a favor. Close this stream and unsubscribe and don't come back. Thank you. Because I don't need fucking morons that are sheep following the wolf to slaughter, following me and asking me dumbass questions. It's just not worth my time. I'm a busy fucking guy. I'm running multiple companies. I've got a family. I've got friends. And I don't got time to be answering dumbass questions derived from the fake news provided to you from these shills. Period. All right, moving on. Maynard brings up a great point. If contract holders exercised their options when the stock was squeezing, he's talking about, it would have skyrocketed. And he's absolutely right. We've already seen the CEO of IBKR tell us flat out that that's exactly what would have happened. Because there was nowhere near enough shares for the broker-dealers to deliver. That's why the clearinghouses and the broker-dealers and the prime brokers, and even the White House, allegedly, had to collude to pull the buy button on the stock. Stocks, plural. AMC, GameStop, COS, and many others. Let's scroll up. Oh, I think Joe Biden tripped on something. Do you guys see what that is? Yeah, I think so. I think he tripped on Hunter Biden's laptop. Yeah, that's what it is. And I think if you look real closely at the bottom of his shoe, it says made in China at the bottom. Let's scroll on up here. Now, another thing I wanted to bring up, you guys. A lot of people are really happy about the Congress trying to push to fire Gary Gensler. And I don't really understand why. Yeah, Gary Gensler is a former Goldman Sachs, trader and whatnot, and he has done some questionable things to hurt or not to hurt, but he hasn't done enough for retail investors. But you've got to realize that a lot of these people, like Hester Pierce, for example, are fighting against him in everything that he does. Hester Pierce voted against the cryptocurrency. Basically, Hester Pierce voted for keeping crypto companies like FTX, safe. And she also voted against the Transparency Acts that Gary Gensler was trying to push. And those Transparency Acts would have been great for retail investors. So if the SEC and Congress fires Gary Gensler, it gives a small group of 5 chair people of the SEC the ability to do whatever the fuck they want. They could talk amongst each other. One could strong arm the other into voting a certain way. And it would likely be much worse for retail investors than it currently is. Now, I'm not a big fan of Gary Gensler. I'm honest with you, I'm not a fan of his at all. But this is a lesser of two evils situation, in my opinion. Kershaw asks who will be the new chair. There wouldn't be a new chair. They would absolve the position completely, and the 4 other people that sit on the board of SEC, the 5 other people, Hester Pierce being one of them, would make all the decisions. And how is Congress and the Senate working out for us as the American people? Just because there's more people making the decisions doesn't mean that they don't collude and push forward decisions that harm people around the world. Arguably, it'd be better to have one person making decisions with the people underneath them to make actual, real, positive change. Now, good point here from Mexicape. I want to pop this up. At Mexicape, huge fan of this guy. Says Ortex Inicial cost to borrow promedio 273%, and in English that means the average cost to borrow on AMC is 273 fucking percent. This was a couple days ago. I'm sure it's changed by now. Short interest has also risen to 23% again. Note, this is self-reported short interest. It's self-reported by market makers and hedge funds, family offices, prime brokers, etc. And Ortex only pulls 85% of that reported data, self-reported data. So imagine what the short interest would be if we had the ability to see all of these total return swaps, contracts, ISDA contracts, married puts, divorced puts and calls, rehypothecations, synthetic shares, phantom shares, derivatives, tokenized securities that are backed by nothing, like we saw with FTX and Bittrex. OTC trades, over-the-counter trades, in which they take using payment for order flow, they take your fucking trades and trade them over the counter. That means they never hit the ticker tape. They go from one guy's desk to another guy's desk. Think about what happened if Bank of America and Goldman Sachs and all these market makers and prime brokers and family office couldn't mark shorts as long. Because it's as simple as not pushing yes for shorts. They just leave it blank. So they have to literally push yes if something is a Y key on their keyboard to mark their short position to mark their long position as a short. It's by default a long position in their books, and they just report it that way. And then they get a small slap on the wrist for filing millions upon hundreds of millions of trades and shares and short positions, which are actually a liability, as an asset on their books, and they're reporting them that way to these self-reported markets that Ortex only pulls 85% of that data. So with all the manipulation that's occurring on the short reporting, and only 85% of that self-reported data being visible, AMC still has 23% short interest? Good Lord. Good Lord. I am going to laugh my ass off when it comes out that AMC was reported hundreds or even thousands of percent of true short interest after the MOAS, after the mother of all short squeezes actually occurs. Let's see, couple comments, couple that just popped up over here. I'll just scoot this back over here for you guys so you can see. Paul says, hold on, where was I? Paul asks, will the 30 million available new shares be at the new price? Sorry, my friend, I'm not sure what you're talking about the new shares. If you're talking about the, I'm not really sure which ones you're talking about, but if you're talking about the new shares that would be issued by AMC, that I can't tell the future. Obviously, it would only make sense that they do that after the conversion or reverse split. It would make no sense for them to do it now. Tully says, I keep stacking leap calls on my favorite meme babies. I hear you, man. Realist says, Apes have to back Gary. He told Apes all along that they would have every lawyer coming after him with pushing the changes that Ape Mask commented on. Ah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Gary Gensler literally did tell us that there was going to be all sorts of people going after him for the changes that he was making on the markets. And I think those same people that are fighting the AMC to Ape to AMC conversion, reverse split, and issuance of shares are the same people that are fighting Gary Gensler on the Transparency Act and the Crypto Exchange Act and everything else that's happening and all these new regulations that he's passing. Citadel Air says, I should share my Bloomberg screen with you on a call. Ortex is garbage. Bloomberg has far more accurate short info. Just need to know where to look. My man, I would really appreciate that. That's absolutely right. I do like pulling up the Bloomberg's terminal info when I can, but I don't have access to it. I don't use it, considering it's $25,000 a year, and I don't have that much use for it. I don't do enough day trading to justify spending $25K a year on a Bloomberg terminal. But yeah, I'd appreciate it if you decided to share that at some point. That'd be really cool. Let's take a look at this tweet from my man Edward Britchick on the point that we were just on. SEC nominee Hester Pierce received 98% of her salary directly from the Mercatus Center. For those of you that don't know, they're a think tank that provides an academic facade to a radical anti-regulatory agenda. The Mercatus Center has been described by the Wall Street Journal as a, quote, coordinating center for lobbyists trying to block a flurry of regulations. That is Hester Pierce. She received 98% of her salary directly from the Mercatus Center. And of course, she was put in place by the one and only former President Barack Obama. So, new disclosures show that 98% of her salary came directly from there. Provides it, yeah, blah, blah, I just said that. And guess who funds them? The Koch brothers. Asked about potential conflicts of interest given her work for the Mercatus Center, Pierce told The Intercept, quote, I appreciate you reaching out, but I cannot comment at this point. I think that says enough. So, as you can see here, congressional records show the think tank routinely cited in over a dozen hearings over the last 2 years by lawmakers. And this was back when this article came out in 2015. So by now, I'm sure it's been many more. They were seeking to roll back regulations on business interests. Surprise, surprise. This is not the lesser of two evils. It is, in my opinion, by far, Gary Gensler. You know what? I'm going to give Edward a retweet because I gave him a like, but I did not give him a retweet. And this deserves more than 100,000 views. This deserves 100 million views. So yeah, do I think Gary's the best man for the job? Probably not. But his replacements are arguably considerably worse for the 99%. Ladies and gentlemen, if buying and holding breaks the system, then the system was already broken in the first place. Let that sink in. If buying and holding breaks the short hedge funds and family offices and broker dealers and prime brokers and market makers and clearing houses, then the system's already fucking broken. And they know it. That's why they had to pull the buy button. That's why they desperately keep shorting this stock and other meme stocks as well. GameStop, AMC, Ape, you name it. There's hundreds. But as you may or may not know, only a few stocks, like AMC and GameStop, are held by millions of retail investors that own the majority of the float. Some of you guys may not be aware of this, but Africa is saying goodbye to the US dollar. The president of Kenya urges African nations to dump the US dollar under tumultuous applause. He's got a standing fucking ovation.
From Djibouti selling to Kenya, or traders from Kenya selling to Djibouti, have to look for US dollars. How is US dollars part of the trade between Djibouti and Kenya? Why?
Wow.
And we are saying that today, Afri-Exim Bank have given us a mechanism where traders in our continent can trade in their goods and services, and the Africa Exim Bank will settle payments in local currency.
You have it, folks.
In dollars. Why?
Why?
There's no reason. And we are not against the US dollar. We just want to trade much more freely. Let us pay in US dollars what we are buying from the US. But what we are buying from Djibouti, let's use local currency.
Standing fucking ovation from African nations leaders. And they're right. They're absolutely right. So a lot of people continue to complain about the SEC not doing anything to stop the crimes. Guys, do you remember Bernie Madoff? The SEC doesn't stop the crimes in their tracks. The SEC prosecutes criminals after the crime has been committed. It's like police officers. A lot of people call the police thinking they're going to stop a crime, but they don't do that. They just investigate the aftermath. Period. It's the same thing with the SEC. They don't stop crimes when they're happening. They just come in after the fact and investigate. That's all. Now, one more chart for you guys here. See this red bars? That's real wages. Real wages have declined for over 2 years, now 26 months consecutively. Biden is literally screwing the middle class, and they're calling it a success. This is what the Federal Reserve is trying to call a soft landing. It's not going to be a soft landing, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because they say that it's different this time? Not at all. It's not fucking different this time. There's nothing different. The difference between retail investors that capitulate and run into the bull market and then get caught with their pants down and real millionaires and billionaires is one thing. You want to know what that one thing is? Conviction. Conviction. That's why I'm able to stay in my position that I need to remain short the SPY and the United States markets and the real estate market, and long meme stocks and precious metals. It's conviction. Because I will not capitulate to a bull run in a bear market. And I will not capitulate to naked shorting on a stock that I know is held majority by millions and millions of retail investors that own the fucking float. Period. Conviction. Ken Griffin, look at Average Ape, at Ape Average on Twitter, posted this awesome tweet. And he said, Ken Griffin, Kenneth Cordell Bedpost Griffin, attended Bilderberg in 2023, the Bilderberg meetings. It was a Bilderberg conference. And Ken Griffin called Donald Trump a 3-time loser and pledged to back Ron DeSantis for president. DeSantis is literally taking money from a legion of globalist donors, people associated closely with the Chinese Communist Party. And if DeSantis becomes the president of the United States, he will make Kenneth Cordell, Bedpost Griffin, the head of the United States Treasury. And Kenneth Griffin will no longer ever have to pay taxes. And he will have complete control over the U.S. Treasury. That is an absolute nightmare, ladies and gentlemen. People must vote against DeSantis. My conviction is long, strong, and down to get the friction on. With the AMC and A conversion and reverse split. The court date is June 29th and 30th, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye on that. Here's another incredible, incredible chart. And let's be clear here. Core inflation has been stable at 5% annualized over the last 6 months. There's no reason for the Fed to have paused at this meeting, with the exception of the fact that they know they've broken something. The BTFP, the Bank Term Funding Program, and their other credit program, and the reverse repurchase program, all three of the Fed's borrowing windows are through the roof at levels we've never seen before in history. And the Fed knows that they've broken it. They have broken the markets. And just like we saw with Silvergate, SVB, and FTX, and all these other banks and crypto exchanges, it is a short matter of time before we see more crypto exchanges and financial banks, financial players go overboard. Soft landing my ass. Jerome Powell today said in his meeting, and like I said earlier, if you use the same calculation that we had in the 80s, inflation is really above 13%, ladies and gentlemen. 13%. And that's a yearly, but month over month, every single month, everything that you pay for is getting more expensive. The only thing that's going down are real wages. Think about that. Real wages continue to go down for 26 months straight, and inflation is up for 26 months straight. Come on now. Jerome Powell said today, I quote, while I typed this out while I was listening to him, he said, "The key to getting inflation down is to get a loosening in labor market conditions." The translation, for those of you that don't understand Fed speak, is millions of Americans need to lose their jobs in order for us to bring inflation down. By you losing your job and your home and your savings account and going into credit card debt and maybe even losing your car, your RV, your boat, your toys, your kids 529 thrift savings plan and all these other things, that is the way that the Federal Reserve is going to make it easier for this country to pay off its national debt and to make it that inflation comes back to their, quote, 2% target. That's the only way. That's why, amongst many other reasons, it's different this time, right? And soft landing is imminent. Yeah, my fucking ass it is. Again, take a look at the fucking chart. 1978, Fed funds rate was at, let's just look at the inflation. They were already raising rates. Inflation was at 7.8, then 8.9, then 12.6, then 14.2. And they kept raising to 8, 9, 14, and 15% on the Fed funds rate. Then they cut rates, and then by 6 months, in 1980, they were down to 10% on the Fed's fund rate. Inflation ticked up to 12.9. They had to increase it 3 months after that, increase the Fed funds rate to 18%. Inflation barely went down to 12.6. Then they had to increase it 8 months after that to 20% on the Fed funds rate. Think about that. The interest rate is currently only at like 5%. They had to go all the way up to 20% in 1980, and it still went up. The inflation rate still went up to 13.3%. From 12.6 to 14.2 to 12.9 to 12.6 to 13.3, even though, because they cut. And that pause that we're seeing now is the equivalent of this cut. We are not going to see deflation because there's not sufficient destruction of demand yet. Because people, even though the cost of goods and everything keeps going up, they still need food. They still need a roof over their head. They still need cars. They're just going to spend more money. Your bank accounts, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm just trying to be realistic. You have to hedge yourself properly because it's likely that inflation will remain sticky. And just like it went from 12.6 to 14.2 to 12.9 to 12.6 to 13.3, It's going to do very similar things because the Fed just paused again. And they continue to send billions and billions of our taxpayer dollars to fucking Ukraine to give more money to be laundered, to be misspent, to be stolen from Americans to other rich people in fucking Ukraine. And again, they had to raise all the way to 20% on December 5th of 1980 to get inflation to go from 13.3 to a year later bring it down to 8.9%. Ladies and gentlemen, we're above 13.3% right fucking now. If you don't understand why, it's because the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, has changed the way they calculated inflation since the 1980s. Not once, not twice, not thrice, but dozens and dozens of times. They changed that in January of 2023. They changed it in January of 2021. They changed it in June of 2020. You get my fucking point. 2022, and I meant 20 January. You know what I'm fucking saying. Every 6 months, they change the calculation on the inflation rate. They reweight it in order to make it seem lower than it really is. So the 5% Fed funds rate now is the equivalent to a 13% inflation rate back in 1980s, period. So make sure that you're properly hedged. Because as Powell even stated, we actually have seen wages going down broadly. Again, the key to getting inflation down is to get a loosening in labor market conditions. Make sure you have plenty of cash available. Make sure you have, this is not financial advice, this is common sense. Food, tangible assets, goods, savings. And don't keep all of it in a fucking ISDA bank. Some of you may not know who Yellow is, YRC, but they're one of the world's largest LTL trucking corporations. As some of you may know, I own a 3PL, basically a trucking company, a freight brokerage firm, and we're doing well. We're not doing as well as we were during the stimulus boom of 2021. When the government was printing shitloads of dollars and corporations were going nuts spending it and people were going nuts spending it. Like the Teamsters bailed out Yellow after the 2008 market crash. They're saying we're not going to bail out Yellow once again. This company, by August, will not be able to pay their bills. And they have $1.5 billion in debts. They employ thousands and thousands of people, dock workers, forklift drivers, office workers, administrative, truckers, and so on. And there's no reason why the union and the Teamsters, people like you and I, just regular folk, should have to bail out this fucking company. No reason whatsoever. Today, actually yesterday, Instant Brands, the maker of Instant Pot and Pyrex cookware, filed for bankruptcy. In court filings, they said that it generated operating cash flows of only $17.9 million in the first 3 months of this year, in contrast to the more than $500 million worth of debt on their books. That's not even net profit. That's just operating cash flows of not even $18 million, and they have to maintain $500 million worth of debt. They filed for restructuring, Chapter 11 bankruptcy restructuring of their debt. Brave, he asks, so the workers lose their jobs in regards to YRC Yellow, the trucking company. It's possible that they'll lose their jobs and probable that they will. But even if they do bail them out and give them more money, they'll probably lose their jobs anyway. So why give them more money out of their own pockets now if they're going to be losing their jobs anyway? That's the way that they see it. So some of you people may not be aware. I posted on my Twitter long ago when I spent over $100,000 buying AMC and Ape shares that I had I had however many thousands of shares of AMC and Ape, tens of thousands. And this is my tweet here. Because I actually, unlike Al from Boston and other people that come up with fake statements and don't ever actually show theirs, I live streamed it on this very channel, myself buying $100,000 worth of AMC and APE shares on the lit markets, on IEX, Investors Exchange. I now have, instead of 10,000, I now have 11,000 shares of APE on that account. And on that account, I also have 6,000 shares of AMC, along with around 1,000 call contracts of AMC1 and AMC. And I aim to exercise a very, very large portion of those call contracts using some of the profits that I make from those leap call contracts when the price does start to skyrocket. I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen during the conversion, reverse split, and issuance of new shares, just like we saw it with the last 2 times AMC issued shares, January and June of 2021. I remember my call contracts for the $40 strike back in June. I bought them in May of 2021 for $21 to $23 each. Now, the real value of those, for those of you that understand call contracts, was 21 cents to 23 cents. For those of you that don't understand call contracts, you have to multiply that by 100 to know the premium that you're going to pay. So I paid around $21 to $23 for the right to have these call contracts, for the right to have the ability to exercise them for 100 shares of AMC. I paid $23 a piece for them, and at the peak, each call contract that I had paid $23 was worth around $6,400 to $6,800 per contract. Yes, that was thousands of percentage points in gains. And I was very happy to see that. And even still, I knew that that wasn't the MOAS. And I took some profits and I reinvested them in AMC and APE. And then after that, I put another 100 grand in. I reinvested that too, and I bought these shares, which I shared with you guys on live stream. So having 1,000 more shares just in that account, 1,000 more contracts just in that account. I've got multiple other stock brokerage accounts that also hold call contracts for AMC and AMC1. AMC1 being the derivatives basket that gives me the ability to exercise for 100 AMC and 100 APE shares. That's 200, not 100, that's 200 shares for each call contract. I very much expect to do the same. I will make significant profits, and I will use a percentage of my profits to exercise those call contracts and get possibly hundreds of thousands of shares of AMC on top of what I've already got, and ride them to the top. I'll sell off on my way to the top, licking my ice cream, before it melts, taking profits, and then sell on the way down. And when I think the price is low enough, I'll probably buy more back in. I'll keep some of my profits on the side, and I'll reinvest a significant portion of my money if I don't think that the squeeze is over. And I will probably forever hold some shares of AMC after the fact. But anyways, I digress. I still think, and I have my money where my mouth is, that we're going to be filthy fucking rich. Yeah, Tully says I'm stoked to see a big percentage on my calls. Yeah, I remember that very, very fondly, and it was great. It was a great feeling, and it was vindication. It told me everything I needed to know. It told me I was on the right fucking track. It told me that I was exactly where I need to be. And that's why I haven't left. That's why I'm still covering AMC. And that's why my conviction has not wavered. It hasn't wavered whatsoever. Huge shout out to everyone following me on Twitter. We have just reached 40,000 Twitter followers. I'm humbled and appreciative, and all 25,500 of you here on YouTube as well. I'm absolutely humbled and I'm appreciative and grateful that you take the time to take the information that I provide and go look into it for yourselves. Because I'm not here to spoon feed anybody. I'm just here to provide you with the information that I've got so you can look into it and decide what you need to do with your money. Because I'm not your financial advisor, and I'm not telling you what to do, buy, sell, or hold anything. I'm just telling you that this is the information I've got. Take it, look into it, decide for yourself what you should do with your money. Because the number one rule in actual providing financial advice is know your customer. And I don't actually know. I know of you guys, and I see you and I hear you here, but I don't know your financial positions. I don't know your financial stability and whether you're looking for growth or risk or low risk or whatever tolerances. So I can't give you financial advice whatsoever. But I've got a fairly high risk tolerance. So I don't mind investing a significant portion of money into precious metals and meme stocks and sitting in it for the long haul. I don't mind having, if it takes 2.5 years, 3.5 years, 4.5 years. That's no problem. Because as some of you may know, like my friend Cash Money here in the think tank, some people were buying Bitcoin when it was $6 a Bitcoin, when it was $60 a Bitcoin. And those people waited 10 years for Bitcoin to get to $60,000 per Bitcoin. Now, do I really think AMC will get to $60,000 a share? No, probably not. Would I be surprised if it did? No, probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if AMC got to $60,000 a share, if at least for a split microcosm of a second. But that doesn't matter. I don't need $60,000 a share. Shit, I don't even need $6,000 a share, even after the reverse split. But I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest to see if it did get to $6,000 a share or even $60,000 a share. I think getting to $60,000 is extremely unlikely, but what I think doesn't really matter, because what my thoughts are on the price should not influence what your thoughts are on the price. And if you thought previously that before the reverse split, AMC could go to $50,000 or $10,000 or $1,000 a share, after the reverse split, and then when there's 10 times fewer shares, it's a massive reduction. What's that, around 1,000% reduction? When there's a 1,000% reduction in the actual number of available shares from 1.5 billion shares of APE and AMC to post-conversion reverse split 150 million only shares of AMC, because APE would get converted into AMC and then reverse split 10 times. Well, why, with 10 times fewer shares, increased volatility, same short interest and same value of shorts, why wouldn't I think that the price could go to $10,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 a share? There's no reason why I wouldn't think that. No reason whatsoever. I had a few replies here that I wanted to pop up real quick. Let me see if I can find where it's at. You know, Robert is usually pretty level-headed guy, you know, but on this point he's pretty upset because Antara is selling shares and has puts. Guys, they're a hedge fund. Let me explain something to you. If I had a hedge fund and I had 230 million shares of APE, I would hold them to the vote as I was obligated to do so. They're not obligated to hold them after the vote. And then I would take profits. And if I bought them for 66 cents a share of APE, AMC Preferred Equity Units, and the price was currently at $1.60 to $1.65, I would sell off a few million and lock in some profits for 280%, 300% gains. They still own around 128 million shares of AMC Preferred Equity as of today. And because they have some put options with the right to sell at $4, $3, and $2 that expire in August 18th and September 15th, that's not really a big concern to me, because in order to hedge against the stock price of their going down on their 132 million shares of APE, hedge funds, literally it's in the name, buy puts. Because if there's downward pressure, they can buy puts in order to have the right to sell shares of AMC at a certain price, therefore preventing themselves from taking further losses on their 132 million APE shares. It's a no-brainer, guys. Hedgie's gonna hedge. They are long 132 million shares of APE. So if they want to sell off a few million at a time, that's their right to do so. I'd say they own a lot more shares than any of you. So why are you complaining if they decide to sell off even a fucking 100 million shares? They'd still have 30 million left. That's still more than any one shareholder. That's why they have to file these Form 4s, statement of changes in beneficial ownership securities. So these puts that they're buying that are short-dated puts that expire in August and September, you guys hear my dogs? That's just hedging. Because if the price goes down, they make money on the puts. And then when the price goes back up, they make money on the shares. And then when APE gets converted, when the lawsuit gets settled and APE gets converted to AMC, and then the AMC issues shares, if the stock price goes through the roof again, they're going to make big buku bucks. Plain and simple. Got it, guys? Hedgies gonna hedge. That's the main point of this video. So I had somebody, I said it's hedge funds taking profits. They own 128 million shares of fucking APE. And somebody put some comments here saying, you know, for now, give them a few weeks. I'm like, yeah, like that's the point. That's the plan. They're going to sell some, and they're selling them slowly. Antara is not selling them all at once. They're selling them slowly because they don't want the price of APE to go down. They're selling off 1 million shares here, 2 million shares there at $1.60 a share right now, locking in profits. So that regardless of what happens with the settlements or the lawsuit, they're still making gains and profits right now to be able to use that money to somewhere else. And to prevent themselves from losing money, they're buying short puts. It's what hedge funds do. So at which point, they've already made tens of millions of dollars on APE. So the courts then in a few weeks will decide on June 29th and 30th what to do with the settlement, whether to approve it or whether to dismiss the case with prejudice or without prejudice, but I doubt that's going to happen. They could then potentially make hundreds of millions of dollars, if not even billions of dollars, by having these 128 million shares of APE that would then be converted into shares of AMC, that would then be reverse split 1 to 10, that would then increase in value 10 times. That if AMC issues shares, could potentially send the stock price skyrocketing thousands of percentage points again. That could, in fact, make me a 100 millionaire or a billionaire in a matter of a few days. Damn, we're going to be filthy fucking rich. Holy shit. Someone asked, you don't think AA has screwed us? Come on, boss. I said, no, not at all. If I did, I would have sold my tens of thousands of shares of AMC and APE, come on YouTube and Twitter and told everybody, hey guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to take off. I don't think this is worth it anymore. Best of luck to you all. I'm out. Peace. And I'd be on my way. I sold my positions. That's what I would say, but I haven't sold jack shit. As a matter of fact, some people were mad at me about maybe 8 months ago because I sold some of my tens of thousands of shares of AMC to buy APE, which after the APE to AMC conversion or reverse split goes through, it's like I sold AMC to buy APE to get more AMC than I started with. So I literally sold some of my AMC shares to get more fucking AMC shares due to the arbitrage of APE after the squeeze, after the conversion and reverse split. A lot of people called me a shill for doing that. Hey, I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just fulfilling my obligation to inform people of what trades I'm doing because I publicly purchased tens of thousands of shares, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of AMC and APE shares. Therefore, I am obligated to disclose this information on YouTube and Twitter because I'm not front-running trades. I'm not doing what some of these assholes like Zach Morris and some of these other guys that got caught up in pumping and dumping stocks. Not at all. I'll tell you if I buy, and I'll tell you if I sell, or I'll tell you if I want to sell. And so far, I'm not selling shit. I still have tens of thousands of shares, thousands of call contracts, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of value. And when all is said and done, I expect to make minimum hundreds of millions of dollars off of this investment. Because I'm not even here for millions. I don't really care about that. I want billions with a fucking S. Billions of dollars. That's why I'm looking to sell some of my contracts for a profit, take my premium, and exercise, and end up with hundreds of thousands of shares. Ride that to the fucking moon and lick my ice cream before it melts. Billions with a fucking S. So I just wanted to let you guys all know that's where I stand. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm not telling you to buy anything or sell anything. I don't think you should do anything other than whatever the fuck you want. If you're tired of Adam Aaron and AMC and Ape, be on your way. Move on. This is not an airport. You're not required to, explain your departure. However, as I have publicly purchased hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of this stuff, I am required to announce my departure. Do you understand? Because when I make billions, if not at least hundreds of millions on this, I do expect to be pulled in front of Congress, very similarly to what happened to DFV, Keith Gill, Deep Fucking Value, and Michael Burry. And I do expect to be able to defend myself clearly by letting them know, guys, I told these investors to do whatever the fuck they want with their money. I told them when I was buying, I told them when I was selling, and I told them when I was out. Unlike the pump and dumpers that are out there, that are being currently charged or that have been convicted with these crimes. So I sleep well at night, knowing that my attorneys and myself are in very good standing. Huge shout out. Oh, I want to give a huge shout out to Pam the trader, hanging out at AMC again tonight. She's at AMC to watch Transformers with her sweatshirt on. We're gonna be so fucking rich sweatshirt. Hell yeah. That's awesome. She's got the We're Gonna Be So Fucking Rich Ape Nation sweatshirt on right now. You know what, guys? I took down the store, my Shopify store, because it's a pain in the ass to run them. And I'm not here to take your money. I only initially started the store because I love the gear. And I know that other retail investors love it too. And it's an awesome conversation starter to be able to be like, hey, yeah, we're going to be so fucking rich because I own a shitload of shares of AMC and Ape. That's why I'm here supporting my investment, like Pam the trader. Huge shout out to you, Pam. But you know how Shills are. They like to say, oh, boss is taking our money, this and that. And these, guys like Al from Boston are just trying to convince you that, like, I'm trying to take your money by offering super cheap hoodies and hats and stuff like that. When in reality, that's got nothing to do with it. I just like giving people mementos. Because right now, this hat means a lot to me. And after I become a 100 millionaire or a billionaire, like, I mean, I'm not one to show off, but I'm very well off. But I'm not a fucking 100 millionaire, I'll tell you that much. But when this makes me one, this hat is probably going to be one of my most cherished prized possessions. Thank you, Larry Lewis. Appreciate the super chat, my friend. You're too kind. Thank you. And that's why I started, with all the merch and the gear and the fucking hats and the cups and stuff, because they're fucking awesome. You know what? Corman brings up a great point. He goes, we might start seeing supply chain problems and increased costs of shipping, which lead to more inflation. Some of you guys, none of you probably know this, but I know that Corman is also in logistics because we've had plenty of discussions about it. But he continues to say, U.S. and Canada West Coast longshoremen have been in contract negotiations for over a year, and talks have been breaking down. The organization that they're negotiating with them wouldn't mind disruption to raise their profits due to lack of demand. On top of that, the Panama Canal is at record low depth, restricting the size of cargo ships passing through it. You make some great points. In addition to those, now some of these people in these contract talks are calling on the federal government to step in because of all these issues going on with the union. And I don't blame them. Huge thank you, Pam, for sharing. Enjoy your Transformers. You're damn right, Pam, fellow shareholder. I still think we're going to be filthy fucking rich. And if my mind ever changes, I'll be the first one to say, hey, guys, I'm sorry, I'm out of here. But, yeah, that's not happened. That's not happened yet, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. Not by a long shot. Cheers, motherfuckers.
Oh, God damn, man.
So goddamn rich, I was waiting for that. I was fucking waiting for you to chime in, brother. I'm so glad you did. So you know what? Holy crap, we've been doing this for an hour and 20 minutes. Guys, I'm having a blast hanging out with you all. Brave says billions of synthetics. AMC's going past 50K. AK said back then you said $1,000. Yeah, I guess, man. It's all good. Ask, what do you think about Robinhood allowing some stocks to trade 24 hours? I'm not on Robinhood. I just saw that they're allowing this. You know, I think that Robinhood is just running certain things, front-running trades and using payment for order flow to try to make money because they're losing so much money right now. Robinhood's in a bad way, and I very much look forward to taking their fucking customers because they don't deserve them. They pulled the fucking buy button. They've screwed over retail so many goddamn times. And they're screwing you every time because they take your order via payment for order flow, and then the market makers trade them over the counter on dark pools from desk to desk, and they never really hit the lit market the way that they should. And that's a big problem. That's why I've been working on Lit Exchange. Look in the description if you're looking for a new brokerage. We're not yet licensed by FINRA, but we've been in development since September of 2021, and we are in the FINRA application stages to get our licensure for a broker-dealer. Go to litexchange.com. No E at the beginning of exchange. litexchange.com. If you'd like to sign up for our email list, it's not a solicitation to buy, sell, or hold any stocks or securities of any kind. This is just an opportunity for you to be getting on the ground floor of a new broker-dealer. Imagine if you could have bought shares, or if you could have had been a founder in a company like Fidelity or Schwab or any of these other major broker-dealers before they actually came into existence. That's what we're going to be offering through our founders program. That's exactly what we're going to be offering to people. The chance to be an owner of stock in a company that has the potential very quickly to be a tens of billions of dollars, if not hundreds of billions of dollars company in a matter of a few short months, if not years at the longest. Tom Carroll brings up a great point. Have you seen the new lawsuit against Antara? Yes, I have seen that a couple retail investors. Let me drop this on you guys real quick. I've seen a couple retail investors filed a lawsuit against Antara, trying to claim that they're not able to sell their shares of APE, but they're well within their legal obligations. So that lawsuit against Antara, I think, will be dismissed. And it's a delay tactic. It was filed in February. It's not even new. It was filed in February or March of this year. But you know how shills are. They're trying to find everything they can to get people scared and stuff like that. I'm not concerned in the slightest bit about it. It's nothing to me. I got a word for you shorts.
Which one of y'all dead motherfuckers just said that
This is
shit?
from me to the shorts.
Was it you, String Bean? You skinny ass looking motherfucker? Turn around and say it again. Turn around and say it again. Turn around and say it again.
Will you please be quiet? John, that is the President of the United States.
This is from a show called The Whitest Kids You Know. One of our apes here, Sigma Variant, made this meme, and I absolutely fucking love it.
I don't care who it is, he's ruining Hamlet.
Oh, now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. You have fucked up now. Now you fucked up. 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 Now you have fucked up.
Mr. President, will you please be quiet?
Suck my presidential cock, bitch. You fat ass piece of shit. You tubbalard looking motherfucker. What? 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 Hey!
What?
What? Huh? I don't know why you're looking up at me, bitch. Play's on stage. I'm not putting on a play up here. I'm trying to be entertained right now.
Mr. President, be quiet.
John, calm down.
Listen to the woman, John. Calm down. Just calm down. Calm down. Just calm down. Calm down. Hey, Acty, stop the play. Acty, ho, Acty. Hey, ho. I gotta go to the bathroom. I drank too much liquid. Now I gotta piss. I got a bottle. I got a bottle. It's all right. Rewind the play 5 minutes, though, because that fat piece of shit was talking. I couldn't pay attention to what you guys was doing. So rewind the play 5 minutes. And you shut the fuck up.
Oh, shit. Ken Griffin lied. Don't forget it, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit. I fucking love it. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with a song. Damn, we're going to be so fucking rich. Have a great day. Have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your week.
J Squad.
Gonna be so goddamn rich.
it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Getting fucking rich. I want my fucking money.
David Kershaw, Joey Maynard, everybody in the chat, on YouTube, on Twitter. Huge shout out to all you fucking legends. Fucking legends. Here's my friends. Smoke them if you got them.
Holy shit, we're gonna be so fucking rich.
Enjoy your shit jobs while you got them, because if you like your job, great, but if you got a shit job, enjoy it while you still can, because you may never have to work again. We'll see.
Great. Damn it, we're gonna be so fucking rich.
Make sure you're properly hedged. Act accordingly.
Griffin, I want my fucking money.
You're an original,
Hey,
aren't you?
yelling,
Cowboy.
give me the fucking money. Get the goddamn money printer out.
Great. Bounty letter.
We're gonna be so fucking rich. Get the goddamn money printer out.